My wife's coffin was lowered into the ground while her mother smiled at me. Not a kind smile, not a grieving smile. A victorious smile, like a chess player who had finally trapped her opponent's king. "You'll never see those children again," Marguerite Holton whispered to me as the priest said his final prayers. "We'll make sure of it." I didn't respond. Couldn't respond. My wife of 17 years was being buried, and her family was already circling like vultures. Celeste had been dead for 4 days. 4 days since I found her collapsed in the kitchen. 4 days since the ambulance couldn't revive her. 4 days since my entire world shattered into pieces too small to count. And now, I was standing at her grave while her family plotted to take my children. "The kids will come home with us tonight," Franklin Holton announced after the service. 72 years old, retired attorney, accustomed to having his every word treated as law. "They need to be with family during this difficult time. I'm their family, I'm their father. You're the reason she's dead." Dennis, Celeste's older brother, 47 years old and wearing a suit that cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. He'd been waiting years to say something like that. "She had a heart condition. The doctors said stress can trigger cardiac events. You stressed her to death, Nelson. All those years of struggling while you couldn't provide properly, couldn't give her the life she deserved. That's enough." I kept my voice steady, though everything inside me was screaming. "The kids are coming home with me, that's not negotiable." Marguerite stepped forward. 69 years old, perfectly composed even at her daughter's funeral, every silver hair in place. "We'll see what the courts say about that. I've already spoken to Judge Harmon, he's an old friend of the family. We'll be filing for emergency custody first thing Monday morning." "On what grounds?" "Neglect, emotional abuse, financial irresponsibility, take your pick." They had been planning this, maybe for years, waiting for an opportunity to take my children away from me, to finally have complete control over the only parts of Celeste that remained. "Dad?" A small hand tugged at my sleeve. Jude, 10 years old. My son. He had Celeste's eyes, deep brown, almost black, the kind that saw everything and revealed nothing. "Dad, can I talk to you? Alone?" I knelt down to his level, ignoring the Holtons, ignoring the other mourners still milling around the cemetery. "What is it, buddy?" Jude glanced at his grandparents, then back at me. His hand was shaking. "Mom left you something." "What?" He pressed something into my palm. Small. Metal. Cold. A key. It was taped inside my toy car, the red one. She put it there before... His voice cracked. "Before she got sick. She said if anything ever happened to her, I should give it to you. Only you, not Grandma, not anyone else." I closed my fist around the key, felt its edges bite into my skin. "Did she say what it opens?" Jude nodded, leaned closer, whispered. "There's an address on the back. She said you'd know what to do." I turned the key over, tiny numbers scratched into the metal, an address I didn't recognize. "Thank you, Jude. You did good." "Dad?" His eyes were filling with tears. "Grandma says we have to go with her. She says you can't take care of us. That's not true, right?" I pulled him into a hug, held him tight. "That's not true. I promise. No matter what happens, I will never let anyone take you away from me." "What about Vera?" I looked past Jude to where his 7-year-old sister was standing with Marguerite, looking small and lost in her black dress. Marguerite had a hand on her shoulder, possessive, claiming. "Her too. Both of you, I promise." I stood up, faced the Holtons. "The children are coming home with me tonight. If you want to file for custody, go ahead, but until a judge says otherwise, they're mine." Franklin's face purpled. "Now listen here." "No, you listen. I just buried my wife. I'm not going to stand here and argue with you at her grave. The kids are coming home. This conversation is over." I took Jude's hand, walked toward Vera. Marguerite didn't let go of her shoulder. "Vera, sweetheart, wouldn't you rather come stay with Grandma? We have your favorite room all ready with the princess bed, and I want my daddy." Vera's voice was small but certain. She pulled away from Marguerite and ran to me, wrapping her arms around my leg. "I want to go home. I want Daddy." Marguerite's smile flickered just for a moment. We'll be in touch, Nelson, very soon. I didn't answer, just gathered my children and walked away from my wife's grave. The key was burning a hole in my pocket. The address led to a storage facility in Henderson, Nevada, 20 miles from our home in Las Vegas, a place I had never been, never heard of, never knew existed. Unit 247, ground floor, climate controlled. I went that night after the kids were asleep at my mother's house. I couldn't take them home. Home was where Celeste had collapsed, where the paramedics had worked on her for 45 minutes before calling time of death. I couldn't face that kitchen yet. The storage facility was quiet at 11 p.m. Fluorescent lights humming, long corridors stretching into shadows. My footsteps echoed as I walked. Unit 247 was at the end of the hall, a roll-up metal door with a heavy padlock. The key fit perfectly. I lifted the door. Inside was a 10 by 10 space, packed floor to ceiling with boxes, folders, and equipment. A small desk in the corner held a laptop computer and a stack of USB drives. The walls were lined with filing cabinets, and on the desk, propped against the laptop, was an envelope. My name was written on the front in Celeste's handwriting. I sat down in the folding chair, opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a letter. My dearest Nelson, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for leaving you, for leaving the kids, for not telling you the truth. I've been sick for a long time. 22 months as of the date I'm writing this. Terminal cancer. The doctors gave me 2 years at most, and I chose not to spend those years watching you suffer alongside me. I know that seems cruel. Maybe it is. But I know my family. I know what they would have done if they'd found out I was dying. They would have descended like locusts, taken over my care, pushed you out, and spent my final months trying to turn me against you, the same way they've been trying since the day we married. I wanted my last months to be normal, peaceful, full of quiet moments with you and the children, not full of my mother's manipulation and my father's legal machinations. So, I kept it secret, and I used that time to prepare. Everything in this storage unit is for you. Evidence. Documents, recordings, everything you'll need to protect yourself and our children from my family. They're going to come for you, Nelson. They're going to try to take Jude and Vera. They've been planning it for years, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a moment of weakness. My death will be that moment. But I've been planning too. In these boxes you'll find 1. My updated will, properly witnessed and notarized, leaving everything to you and the children. My parents have an older version they'll try to use. It's invalid. Mine supersedes it. 2. A custody declaration, also witnessed and notarized, stating my explicit wish that you have full custody of our children. It includes a detailed explanation of why I want limited contact between my family and our kids. 3. Medical records documenting my diagnosis and treatment. They prove I died of cancer, not stress or neglect or anything else my family might try to blame you for. 4. 22 months of documentation about my family's behavior. Recordings of my mother threatening to take the kids if anything happens to you. Financial records showing how my father tried to manipulate my inheritance from grandmother Rose. Evidence that Dennis has been committing financial fraud through the family law practice for over a decade. 5. Letters I wrote during my childhood and teenage years documenting the emotional abuse I suffered at my mother's hands. I never told you how bad it really was. Now you'll understand. 6. Video recordings. Messages for you. Messages for Jude and Vera, for birthdays and graduations and all the moments I won't be there for. And depositions. Legal testimony about my family, recorded with a lawyer present, admissible in court. I know this is a lot. I know you're grieving and overwhelmed and probably angry that I didn't tell you. You have every right to be angry, but please understand, I did this because I love you. I did this because I know who my family really is, and I couldn't leave you and our children defenseless against them. You're a good man, Nelson, a good husband, a good father. Don't let them convince you otherwise. Don't let them take our babies. Fight for them. Everything you need is here. I love you. I will always love you, even now, even gone. Even from wherever I am, I love you. Forever yours, Celeste. Start with the laptop. The password is the date of our first kiss. There's a video I need you to watch first. I read the letter 3 times. Then I opened the laptop. The password was 0615205. June 15th, 2005. The night I kissed Celeste for the first time on the rooftop of her apartment building, the Las Vegas lights glittering below us like a blanket of fallen stars. The screen came to life. A single video file sat on the desktop. For Nelson, watch first. I clicked it, and my wife appeared on the screen. She was sitting in this same storage unit, at this same desk. She looked thin, thinner than I remembered, but her eyes were bright, alert, full of the fierce intelligence that had made me fall in love with her 19 years ago. "Hi, baby," she said. "If you're watching this, it means I'm gone. And if you found this unit, it means Jude did what I asked him to do. He's such a good boy. They both are. We made good kids, Nelson." She smiled. Even on video, even knowing she was dead, that smile broke me. "I know you're confused, hurt, probably angry. You're wondering why I didn't tell you about the cancer. Why I spent the last 2 years of my life keeping secrets from the one person I swore to never keep secrets from." She leaned forward. "The answer is my mother. You know what she's like. You've lived with her interference for 17 years. But you don't know everything. You don't know about the phone calls she made when you weren't home, telling me I'd married beneath me. You don't know about the gifts she offered. A house, a car, private school for the kids, all conditional on me leaving. You don't know that she told me 4 years ago that if anything ever happened to me, she would make sure you never saw Jude and Vera again." I felt cold, ice spreading through my veins. She said it calmly, matter-of-factly, like she was discussing the weather. "If something happens to you, Celeste, Franklin and I will take the children. Nelson isn't capable of raising them properly. We'll get custody one way or another." I asked her what she meant by one way or another. She smiled and said, "You don't need to worry about that. Just know that we have resources you can't imagine." Celeste's expression hardened. That's when I knew. If I ever got sick, if I ever died, my family would try to destroy you. They'd use their money, their connections, their lawyers, their lies, and they'd probably win, because they always win. That's what Holtons do. So I started planning. The first thing I did was update my will, got a lawyer my parents don't know, had everything. Done properly, locked away where they can't touch it. Then I wrote the custody declaration, made video depositions, started documenting everything. And then, 8 months into my preparations, I got the diagnosis. Ovarian cancer, stage 3, terminal. She paused, took a breath. "I could have told you. I thought about it every day, but I knew what would happen. You'd want to take care of me. You'd tell my parents, because you're kind, because you believe in family, because you'd think they deserve to know. But they don't deserve anything. And if they knew I was dying, they would have made my last months a living hell. They would have tried to move me into their house, take over my medical care, poison the children against you while I was too weak to stop them. I couldn't let that happen, so I kept it secret. Told you I was tired, stressed, working too hard, and I spent every spare moment preparing for this, preparing to protect you and our babies from beyond the grave." Tears were streaming down my face now. I couldn't stop them. "I'm sorry, Nelson. I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry I'm not there to fight beside you. But everything you need is in this room. Every document, every recording, every piece of evidence. My family has secrets too, dark ones, criminal ones, and I've documented all of them. They're going to come for you. They're going to try to take our children, but you're not going to let them, because you're strong, and you're smart, and you love Jude and Vera more than anything in this world. Fight for them, baby. Promise me." She reached toward the camera, touched the lens. "I love you. Forever and always. Now go show my family what happens when they mess with the man I chose." The video ended. I sat in that storage unit for a long time, crying in the fluorescent light, surrounded by 22 months of my wife's final gift. Then I dried my eyes, and I started going through the boxes. Let me tell you about Celeste Holton, the woman who became Celeste Avery. the woman who loved me enough to spend her dying months preparing for war. She grew up in Boulder City, Nevada, the youngest child of Franklin and Marguerite Holton. Franklin was a senior partner at one of the most prestigious law firms in Las Vegas. Marguerite was a socialite, the kind of woman who measured her worth in committee memberships and charity galas. From the outside, the Holtons looked perfect. Successful, wealthy, respected, the kind of family that got their picture in the society pages and their names on hospital wings. From the inside, it was a prison. I learned this slowly over our 17 years together. Celeste didn't talk about her childhood often, and when she did, it was in fragments. Small stories that seemed harmless individually but painted a disturbing picture when combined. The storage unit filled in the gaps. In one box, I found journals Celeste had kept as a teenager. Pages and pages of careful handwriting, documenting the daily torments of life under Marguerite's control. March the 3rd, 1996. Mom said my dress was inappropriate for dinner, made me change 3 times. When I finally came down in something she approved of, she said I'd made everyone wait and I should be ashamed. Dad just read his newspaper. Dennis laughed. I hate it here. I hate being watched all the time, judged all the time, never being good enough no matter what I do. 4 more years until college. I can survive 4 more years. September 17th, 1997, I got an A on my history test. Mom asked why it wasn't an A. I tried to explain that the teacher's grading curve was harsh, that most students failed. She said Holtons don't make excuses. Holtons succeed. Then she didn't speak to me for 3 days. December 25th, 1998. Worst Christmas ever. Mom found out I'd been talking to a boy at school. Just talking, nothing more. And she spent the entire holiday telling me I was throwing away my future on trash. She actually used that word, trash. The boy's name was Miguel. His father owns a landscaping company. Apparently, that makes him trash. I'm starting to think the trash is inside this house, not outside it. Page after page, year after year. A childhood defined by criticism, control, and conditional love that was never quite love at all. And then I found the letters. A folder labeled Evidence Custody Declaration contained formal statements Celeste had prepared for legal proceedings, but it also contained something else. Letters Celeste had written to herself as a teenager. Letters she had never sent, never shared, just written and hidden and kept for reasons she probably didn't fully understand until the end. One was dated June 1999, when Celeste was 18. To whoever finds this, if something happens to me, I want someone to know the truth. My mother hit me today. Not the first time, but the hardest. I made the mistake of telling her I wanted to go to UNLV instead of Stanford. She said I was ungrateful, stupid, throwing away everything they'd given me. Then she slapped me so hard, I fell against the kitchen counter. Dad was in the next room. He heard. He didn't come in. I'm leaving next month for college. I'm never coming back to this house if I can help it, and if I ever have children, I swear to God I will never let my mother near them. I know she'll try. She'll smile and pretend and play the doting grandmother, but I know what she really is. I won't forget. Even if everyone else does, I won't forget. My wife had been documenting her mother's abuse since she was a teenager. And 25 years later, dying of cancer, she had used those documents to build a case that would protect her children from the same fate. I spent 3 days going through the storage unit. I took time off work. My boss understood. Everyone understands when you've just lost your wife. And I read every document, watched every video, absorbed every piece of evidence Celeste had gathered. The scope of it was staggering. She had recorded phone conversations with her mother. Nevada is a one-party consent state, so it was legal, and the recordings were damning. In one, from 18 months ago, Marguerite told Celeste that she was wasting her life with me. That I was a construction worker, for God's sake, barely better than a laborer. That the children deserved better role models than a man who comes home with dirt under his fingernails. In another, from just 6 months ago, Marguerite explicitly discussed what would happen when Celeste came to her senses and left me. The children will come live with us, of course. Franklin has already spoken to Judge Harmon about expediting any custody proceedings. It would be seamless, Celeste. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing. Celeste's voice on the recording. And what about Nelson? He's their father. Marguerite's response. Nelson will accept whatever arrangement we decide on. Men like him always do. They don't have the resources to fight. The recording Celeste made of that conversation included a written note in the margin of the transcript. She's wrong. Nelson won't accept it, and neither will I. The evidence against the Holton family business was even more explosive. Celeste had obtained financial records. I didn't ask how, and the documents didn't say, showing that her brother Dennis had been systematically overbilling clients for over a decade. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent charges hidden in the complexity of legal invoices that most clients never questioned. She had email printouts showing Franklin knew about it and had actively helped conceal it. She had documentation of a case from 2019 where the Holton firm had represented both parties in a transaction without disclosure, a serious ethical violation that could result in disbarment, and she had evidence that Judge Harmon, the family friend Marguerite had mentioned, had received substantial consulting fees from the Holton firm over the years, fees that looked suspiciously like bribes. My wife hadn't just prepared to defend against her family. She had prepared to destroy them. The Holtons filed for emergency custody on Monday exactly as Marguerite had promised. I was ready. My attorney, a woman named Harriet Drummond, who Celeste had recommended in her letter, met me at the courthouse with a briefcase full of documents. They're claiming you're financially unstable, emotionally abusive, and that Celeste was planning to divorce you before she died, Harriet told me before we went in. They've submitted a version of her will that leaves everything to them and grants them custody of the children. That will is a fake. I know. We have the real one. We also have video testimony from your wife, recorded with a licensed attorney present, explicitly stating her wishes for custody. Plus medical records, personal journals, and enough evidence of Holton family misconduct to keep them in court for years. Will it be enough? Harriet smiled. More than enough. The hearing was held before Judge Patricia Womack, not Judge Harmon, because Harriet had filed a conflict of interest motion the day before, based on the evidence of payments from the Holton firm. The Holtons were not pleased. Your Honor, this is outrageous, Franklin sputtered. We've known Judge Harmon for 30 years. He's a respected member of this community. He's also received over $200,000 in consulting fees from your law firm over the past decade, Harriet interrupted. We have documentation. The appearance of impropriety alone is sufficient grounds for recusal. Judge Womack agreed. The hearing proceeded. The Holtons presented their case first. Financial irresponsibility. I made $78,000 a year, barely enough to support a family in Las Vegas. Emotional instability. I had been withdrawn and uncommunicative in the months before Celeste's death. Neglect. The children had been left with babysitters while both parents worked. Then they presented the will. This document clearly shows that Celeste Holton Avery intended for her children to be raised by her parents in the event of her death, Franklin said, holding up a paper that looked official and legally binding. Your Honor, Harriet stood, we have reason to believe that document is fraudulent. We would like to present the authentic last will and testament of Celeste Avery along with supporting documentation. She handed over a thick folder. Judge Womack reviewed it for several minutes. Her expression grew increasingly severe. Mr. Holton, this will is dated 8 months after the document you submitted. It explicitly revokes all previous wills, and it's accompanied by a video deposition from the deceased in which she explains her wishes in detail. That video could have been made under duress. The video shows Mrs. Avery explaining at length why she does not want her parents to have custody of her children. She provides specific examples of behavior she found concerning, including threats made by Mrs. Holton regarding custody. Franklin's face was turning red. Those are lies. Celeste would never. There are also audio recordings. Would you like me to play them? Silence. I didn't think so. Judge Womack set down the folder. Based on the evidence presented, I am denying the emergency custody petition. The children will remain with their father, Nelson Avery, who is their legal guardian according to the valid last will and testament of their mother. This isn't over, Marguerite hissed at me as we left the courtroom. Yes, I said quietly. It is. But it wasn't over. Not yet. The Holtons appealed, filed motions, hired more lawyers, tried every legal maneuver in the book to take my children away from me. Each time, Harriet was ready with more evidence. When they claimed I was financially unstable, we presented Celeste's letter explaining that she had chosen to live modestly because she valued family time over material wealth. When they claimed I was emotionally abusive, we presented 22 months of video diaries in which Celeste described our marriage as the only truly happy relationship I've ever had. When they claimed Celeste had been planning to divorce me, we presented text messages, emails, and recorded phone calls showing that she had been actively hiding her illness from me, precisely because she loved me too much to burden me with her dying. And when they kept pushing, kept fighting, kept refusing to accept defeat, we brought out the big guns. The evidence of financial fraud at the Holton firm, the documentation of ethical violations, the proof of payments to Judge Harmon. We can submit this evidence to the State Bar and the FBI. Harriet told Franklin and Dennis at a settlement conference, "We can destroy your careers, your reputation, and your firm. Or you can drop the custody. Challenge, accept limited supervised visitation with your grandchildren, and walk away while you still can." Franklin looked at the documents spread across the table, 22 months of his daughter's meticulous research. Every skeleton in the Holton family closet, documented and organized and ready for public consumption. Celeste did this. She had a lot of time to prepare and a very strong motivation. Marguerite was crying, not grieving tears, furious tears. The tears of a woman who had spent her whole life controlling everyone around her, only to be defeated by the daughter she had tried so hard to break. She was always ungrateful, Marguerite spat. Everything we gave her, everything we did for her, and this is how she repays us. You threatened to take her children, I said. What did you expect her to do? Those are my grandchildren. They're my children, and Celeste's, and according to her explicit, documented, legally binding wishes, they're going to grow, up, far away from your influence. Dennis leaned over to whisper something to his father. Franklin listened, then nodded slowly. We'll accept supervised visitation twice a month in a neutral location with a social worker present. Once a month, Harriet countered, and any violation of the agreement, any attempt to manipulate the children or undermine their father, results in immediate termination of all visitation rights. Franklin's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Once a month. We signed the agreement that afternoon. The custody battle was over. I had won. No, Celeste had won. I had just carried her across the finish line. The hardest part wasn't the legal battle. The hardest part was explaining it to the kids. How do you tell a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old that their mother knew she was dying for almost 2 years and chose not to tell? Anyone? That their grandparents tried to take them away from their father? That the only reason they're still living at home is because their mom spent her final months preparing for a war she knew she wouldn't live to fight? You do it slowly, carefully, with a lot of help from a very good child therapist. Dr. Ananya Batra met with Jude and Vera twice a week for the first 3 months after Celeste's death. She helped them understand their grief, their anger, their confusion. She helped me understand how to talk to them about things no child should ever have to hear. And she helped us decide when to show them the videos. Celeste had recorded messages for the children, for birthdays they would have without her, for graduations she would miss, for weddings and births and all the milestones she knew she'd miss. We watched the first one together 6 months after she died. It was a general message, recorded early in her diagnosis. She looked healthier in this one, fuller, stronger, more like the mother they remembered. "Hi, my beautiful babies," she said, smiling at the camera. "If you're watching this, it means I'm not there with you anymore. and I'm so sorry about that." Vera crawled into my lap. Jude sat rigid beside me, trying to be brave. "I want you to know that leaving you was the hardest thing I've ever done. Not the dying part, I can handle that. But knowing I won't be there to watch you grow up, to see the amazing people you're going to become, that breaks my heart more than anything. But here's what I need you to understand. Even though I'm not there physically, I'm still with you. In your memories, in the things I taught you, in the love that doesn't go away just because someone dies. Your dad is the best man I've ever known. He's going to take such good care of you. Trust him, listen to him. And when you're sad, when you miss me, when things get hard, let him hold you. Let him help you. That's what he's there for. I love you both. More than words can say, more than the stars in the sky, more than all the grains of sand on all the beaches in the world." She blew a kiss at the camera. "Be good, be kind, be brave, and never, ever forget how much your mommy loves you." The video ended. Vera was crying. Jude was crying. I was crying. We held each other for a long time. Then Vera looked up at me with her mother's eyes and said, "Can we watch another one? Someday, sweetheart, your mom made lots of videos for you. We'll watch them when you're ready." She really loved us, didn't she? More than anything in the world. Vera nodded seriously. "I'm going to be brave." Like she said, "I know you will, baby. I know you will." 2 years have passed since I opened that storage unit. I'm 48 now, still working in construction, still living in the same house, still getting up every morning for my kids. Jude is 12 now. He's in 7th grade, playing basketball, getting taller every day. He has Celeste's analytical mind, her way of seeing through problems to the solution underneath. Last month, he asked me to tell him more about how his mom and I met. We stayed up until midnight looking at old photos, sharing stories. "She sounds amazing," he said when I finished. She was. She really was. I wish I could remember her better. That's what the videos are for. She made them so you could know her, even after she was gone. Vera is 9. She's in 4th grade, obsessed with horses and drawing and a boy named Marcus, who, she insists, she does not have a crush on. She keeps a photo of Celeste on her nightstand and says goodnight to it every evening. "Good night, Mommy. I love you. I got an A on my spelling test today. I think you would be proud." The Holtons see the children once a month. As agreed. The visits are awkward, stilted, nothing like the warm family gatherings Marguerite probably imagined. But they're peaceful. The Holtons know what evidence I have. They know what I could do with it. And they know that any attempt to manipulate my children or undermine my authority will result in consequences they can't afford. Sometimes I catch Marguerite looking at Jude and Vera with something like regret. Not remorse. I don't think she's capable of that, but regret. The recognition of something lost. Something she threw away through years of cruelty and control. Her daughter is dead. Her grandchildren are strangers. Her family legacy is a storage unit full of evidence documenting her failures. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. I haven't dated since Celeste died. I know she would want me to move on eventually. There's even a video, I've watched the first few seconds, where she tells me it's okay to find love again, that she wants me to be happy, that I shouldn't spend the rest of my life mourning her. I'm not ready to watch the rest of that video yet. Maybe someday. For now, my world is Jude and Vera, making sure they're healthy, happy, secure, making sure they know their mother loved them, making sure they grow up to be the kind of people Celeste would be proud of. That's enough. More than enough. Last week was the 2nd anniversary of Celeste's death. We visited her grave, a simple headstone in a quiet cemetery, far from the ornate Holton family plot where her parents wanted her buried. She wanted to be here, I told the kids when we chose the spot. Close to home, close to us. The inscription reads, Celeste Marie. Avery, 1981-2024, beloved wife. Devoted mother, forever missed. Jude placed a basketball trophy he'd won at the base of the stone. I got MVP, Mom. Coach said I played like I had something to prove. Vera placed a drawing she'd made, a family portrait with 4 figures, one of them surrounded by a golden glow. That's you in heaven, Mommy. You're the angel watching over us." I placed a single white rose, Celeste's favorite. "We're doing okay," I said quietly. "The kids are thriving. The Holtons are keeping their distance. Everything you prepared for us, it worked. You saved us." A breeze stirred the leaves on a nearby tree. Probably just coincidence, but I like to think it was her listening. That night, after the kids were asleep, I went to the storage unit. I still have it. Couldn't bring myself to clear it out. It's the closest thing I have to being near Celeste, sitting at that desk where she sat, surrounded by the evidence of her love. I opened the laptop, navigated to a folder I hadn't touched before. "For Nelson, when you're ready." Inside was a single video file. I clicked it. Celeste appeared. This time she looked tired. Thinner. Closer to the end. "Hi, baby," she said. "If you're watching this, it means some time has passed. Hopefully enough time that the pain isn't quite so sharp anymore. I wanted to leave you one more message. The others were about practicality, wills and custody and evidence. This one is just about us." She smiled. That smile that always made my heart skip. I've been thinking a lot about our life together. The 19 years since that first kiss on my apartment roof. The 17 years of marriage. The 2 perfect children we made. I've been thinking about the fights we had. The stupid ones about dishes and money and whose turn it was to change diapers. The serious ones about your job and my family and how to balance everything. And you know what? I don't regret any of it. Not one moment. Because even the hard parts were ours. Our story. Our life. I know, I wasn't always easy to live with. My family's baggage, my need for control, my inability to ask for help when I needed it. You put up with so much, Nelson, more than you should have had to. But you stayed. Through all of it, you stayed. And that's how I knew. Knew what? That I had chosen right. That out of all the people in the world, I had found the one person who would never give up on me, never stop loving me, never let me face the darkness alone. I'm sorry I faced this darkness alone. The cancer, the diagnosis, the dying, I should have told you. I should have let you be there for me like you always were. But I couldn't watch you suffer. I couldn't watch the kids suffer. So I made a choice, a selfish choice maybe, to give us one more year of normal. One more year of homework and family dinners and Saturday morning cartoons. I hope you can forgive me for that. Tears were running down my face again, 2 years later, and she could still make me cry. Here's what I want you to know, Nelson, really know, deep in your bones. You were enough. You were always enough. My family was wrong about you. They couldn't see what I saw. This incredible man who built things with his hands and loved with his whole heart, and never asked for anything in return. You gave me the only happiness I've ever known. You gave me Jude and Vera. You gave me a reason to fight, even when fighting meant preparing, for a war I'd never see. Thank you, my love. Thank you for everything. Now go live. Go be happy. Go show our children what it means to love fully and completely the way you loved me. And when you're ready, really ready, go find someone else to share that love with. You have so much to give. Don't waste it on grief. I'll be watching, from wherever I am, cheering you on. I love you, Nelson, forever and always in this life and whatever comes next. She blew a kiss at the camera. Take care of our babies, I know you will. The video ended. I sat in the silence for a long time. Then I called the kids. Dad? Jude's voice was sleepy. It's almost midnight. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I just wanted to ask you both something. What? How would you feel about watching one of your mom's videos together, right now? Silence for a moment. Then Jude said, I'll wake up Vera. 20 minutes later, they arrived at the storage unit in their pajamas, clutching blankets, looking curious and a little scared. Is this where Mom's stuff is? Vera asked, looking around at the boxes. This is where Mom's love is, I said. She spent almost 2 years getting all of this ready for us, protecting us, making sure we'd be okay. Can we watch a video? Jude asked. I have a better idea. I navigated to a folder labeled, For Jude and Vera, Together. Inside was a single file. Watch with Dad. I clicked play. Celeste appeared on screen. She was sitting in a different location, our living room, back when she was healthier. She looked beautiful. Hi, my babies. Hi, Nelson. If you're watching this together, it means your dad decided you were ready. Jude and Vera pressed close to me. I wrapped my arms around them both. I made this video because I wanted us to have one more family moment. All four of us together. Even if I can't be there physically, I can be there in this video. And that's almost as good, right? She smiled. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you a story. The story of how your dad and I met and fell in love and created the two most amazing kids in the entire world. It starts on a rooftop in Las Vegas 19 years ago with a girl who was afraid of heights and a boy who was afraid of nothing. For the next 45 minutes, we listened to Celeste tell our story. The first date, the first kiss, the proposal, the wedding, the births of Jude and Vera. All of it in her own words, in her own voice. When the video ended, the kids were crying. I was crying, but they were good tears, healing tears. Mom was really funny, Vera said, wiping her eyes. She was the funniest person I ever knew, I agreed. Dad? Jude looked up at me. Can we come here again sometime? To be close to her? Whenever you want, buddy. This is her place, and now it's ours. We sat together in that storage unit until almost 2 a.m., surrounded by boxes of evidence and legal documents and 22 months of Celeste's love. Then we went home. I'm sitting in my kitchen now, writing this down. The kids are at school. The house is quiet. On the counter is a photo of Celeste, taken on our last anniversary. The one she knew would be our last, though I didn't. She's smiling in the photo. That smile that saved me 19 years ago and saves me still. People say time heals all wounds. They're wrong. Time doesn't heal anything. It just gives you enough distance to see the wound clearly, to understand what you lost, what you had, what you'll carry with you for the rest of your life. I lost my wife. I lost my partner. I lost the only person who ever saw me clearly and loved me anyway. But I didn't lose everything. I have Jude and Vera. I have 17 years of memories. I have a storage unit full of videos that let me hear her voice whenever I need to. And I have the knowledge that she loved me enough to spend her dying months protecting our family from threats she knew would come. That's not nothing. That's everything. If you're watching this and you're going through something similar, grief, loss, family conflict, I want you to know something. Love doesn't end when someone dies. It transforms. It becomes memory, legacy, the quiet strength that gets you through the impossible days. Celeste is gone, but her love is still here, in the children she left behind, in the protection she arranged, in the videos she recorded for birthdays and graduations and moments she knew she'd miss. She's still here, and she always will be. Next week is Vera's 9th birthday. There's a video waiting for her, one Celeste recorded 2 years ago when Vera was 7. I haven't watched it. That's for Vera, her private moment with her mother. But I know what it will say. It will say that Celeste loves her, that she's proud of her, that she's sorry she can't be there, and it will say that even though Mommy is gone, she's still watching over her baby girl, forever and always, in this life and whatever comes next. Thank you for listening. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who has lost someone they love, someone who is fighting for their family, someone who needs to know that love is stronger than death. It is, I promise. It really is.